The scuffed sneakers didn't scream billionaire. That was exactly the point. Standing under the soaring SkyConnect Airlines banner at Gate 24A of Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International, Elijah R. Mays, 47 years old, newly appointed CEO of SkyConnect, looked like any tired traveler. Faded gray hoodie, wrinkled jeans, no entourage, no leather carry-on, just a fraying backpack and a boarding pass tucked into his phone case. It was his design. Elijah didn't want the red carpet. He'd refused the PR tour 3 weeks earlier when the board celebrated his promotion. Instead, he booked a commercial flight, chose a random morning, and showed up like any other guest. Because if his company was failing people, he wanted to feel it from the ground, especially after reading a letter from a retired black school teacher in Baton Rouge who'd been escorted out of the SkyConnect premium lounge she had paid for. Because staff didn't believe she belonged. That phrase hadn't left Elijah's chest since. He wanted to see what belonging looked like in the empire he now ran. The terminal was alive. Jet engines roared. Teenagers in matching concert tees darted around. No one gave Elijah a second glance, and that told him everything. At the entrance to the premium lounge, a service he'd helped redesign to reflect inclusivity and warmth, stood a glossy glass door and a sleek reception counter. Behind it, a slim woman in her late 30s with a tight ponytail tapped away on her keyboard. Her nameplate read, Chloe, shift lead. She barely glanced up when Elijah stepped forward. He smiled politely and reached into his wallet. Good morning. I'm a Diamond Elite member. She raised a hand, cutting him off mid-sentence. Sir, this lounge is for premium members only. He held up his card. I know, that's me. She didn't look, didn't scan it, just folded her arms with the practiced ease of someone who'd done this before. We've had a lot of people try to sneak in lately, she said, clearly implying something without saying it. You'll need to wait outside. Security is nearby if you need assistance. Elijah blinked, not out of offense, but out of calculation. He stepped back, nodded silently, and moved to sit by a vending machine just out of view. She hadn't recognized him. That wasn't surprising, but the casual disdain, that struck a deeper nerve. From behind the glass, voices carried. The lounge wasn't soundproof. Elijah could hear Chloe chuckling with a male staffer, tall, athletic build, navy vest with guest experiences stitched on. His badge read MATT. He really thought flashing that card would work, she scoffed. Looked like he came from a Waffle House, not a first-class cabin, Matt joked. They both laughed. These people, Chloe muttered, sipping from a steel cup. That did it. Elijah's jaw tightened. He stayed seated, silent, watching, not reacting, calculating. Over the next 10 minutes, 4 passengers walked up to the same entrance. A middle-aged white man in a Patagonia vest waved his phone. No questions asked. Waved through. Then a younger white woman in leggings and Ugg boots breezed past without even pausing. Chloe smiled warmly. An older Asian couple approached. Matt checked their tickets briefly, then allowed them in with a nod. Then came a young black man in an expensive tracksuit, headphones around his neck. He walked up, flashed his platinum card. Chloe didn't even hide it this time. Government-issued ID and verified boarding pass. Wait over there, sir. It'll be a few minutes. Elijah watched him fumble for documents, visibly confused. Behind him, 3 more passengers, 2 white women and 1 Latino man, got in with no delay, no ID checks, nothing. The young black man's name, as Elijah would soon learn, was Keenan Hill, and he wasn't the only one made to feel small. Elijah stood slowly, pulled out his phone, and dialed. Marcus, it's me. I need you at Terminal B. Premium lounge entrance. 15 minutes. Bring Alex and the airport liaison. Say nothing when you arrive. Just stand beside me. He ended the call. By the time he walked back toward the counter, Chloe narrowed her eyes, instantly annoyed. I already told you. Elijah raised a single finger. Just give me 1 more minute. She sighed. Security can escort you out. Don't worry about that. Just then, a sleek black SUV pulled up. 3 sharply dressed individuals stepped out and strode toward the lounge. Marcus Levesque, Chief Strategy Officer of SkyConnect, Alex Tran, Head of Guest Experience, and Yvette Dorson from Airport PR. They flanked Elijah silently. Chloe's face fell. "Everything okay?" she asked hesitantly. Elijah removed his hat. "Let them see you now," Marcus whispered. "I'm Elijah R. Mays," he said calmly, his voice cutting through the air like cold wind. "CEO of SkyConnect Airlines." Chloe froze. Color drained from her face. "I attempted to enter this lounge 20 minutes ago as a Diamond Elite member. You refused me access. You also refused this gentleman." He gestured to Keenan, still standing awkwardly by the wall. The terminal grew still. A few passengers noticed. Whispers stirred. "I want to know," Elijah continued, locking eyes with Chloe, "how long this has been going on." Before she could respond, Matt scoffed. "Come on, man. We're just keeping things tight. Everyone tries to scam their way in. We got to be careful." Elijah slowly turned to him. "Careful? With who exactly?" Silence. Chloe pretended to type something. Marcus took a step forward, but Elijah held up a hand. "I watched you let 6 people walk in unchecked," he said to Matt. "No ID, no card scans. You didn't even slow them down. But you stopped me, and you stopped him." He turned to Keenan again. "What's your name?" "Keenan Hill," the young man replied, shifting uncomfortably. "Platinum status since last month. First time trying to use the lounge." Elijah nodded. "I'm sorry this was your first impression of us." Keenan gave a small, understanding smile. "It's not the first time something like this happened." That hit Elijah harder than anything else. He stepped through the doors without a word and entered the lounge. Guests inside looked up, sensing the tension. "I'm Elijah R. Mays," he said loudly, addressing the room. "Chief Executive Officer of this airline. Some of you don't know me. That's okay. I didn't come here to be seen. I came to see." Murmurs rippled. Phones lifted discreetly, eyes widened. "I wanted to understand what this lounge feels like to someone who's not wearing a suit, someone not holding a camera crew or press badge. I came dressed as myself, not the Forbes version." He paused, glancing toward the glass wall. Chloe and Matt were frozen. "I sat out there and watched. What I saw confirmed complaints we've been receiving for months." He nodded toward the red couch in the corner. A woman in her 60s stood slowly. She wore pressed slacks, a soft maroon blouse, and silver-streaked hair tied neatly. Her eyes held a quiet fire. "Mr. Mays," she said, voice clear. "We met once, in Jackson, at a Black Aviation Professionals event. You spoke about how titles don't define leadership." Elijah tilted his head. "I remember. You said if you ever ran a company, people like me wouldn't be overlooked again. I've worked for SkyConnect 31 years, trained dozens, walked into this lounge in uniform, and was told more than once to use the employee restroom instead." Gasps escaped from the crowd. "I stayed quiet," she added, "but maybe I shouldn't have." Elijah met her eyes. "You're speaking now, and it matters." She nodded and sat down. Turning to Marcus and Alex, Elijah spoke clearly. "I want every staff complaint about this lounge reviewed, every access log from the last 90 days. Starting today, no one works behind that desk until retrained and reevaluated." Chloe's face went white. Matt shifted uneasily. "You're not being removed for what happened today," Elijah said, voice firm. "You're being removed for everything that happened when no one was watching." And with that, the room fell silent. Elijah R. Mays stood in the sterile conference room of SkyConnect's Terminal B headquarters, watching the final glow of sunrise spill across the tarmac through floor-to-ceiling windows. The vibrancy of jets taxiing contrasted sharply with the gravity of the morning's task, transforming an airline culture that had quietly tolerated bias. He turned to face his core leadership team. Marcus Levesque at his right, Alex Tran at his left, Yvette Dorson a step back, and felt the full weight of their collective responsibility. "Yesterday was necessary," Elijah began, voice steady, "but symbolic gestures only go so far. Today we build a foundation for lasting change." He tapped a printed summary of the previous day's incidents. 23 documented refusals at 7 lounges, 11 escorted off passengers. Nearly all those affected were people of color. Alex's fingers tapped thoughtfully on the table. "Those are formal complaints. We estimate that for everyone logged, 2 more go unreported. We're talking potentially 70 incidents in the last quarter alone." Marcus nodded. "That reflects a systemic issue, not isolated mistakes. We need a multi-layered approach, immediate accountability, transparent processes, and proactive training. Elijah unfolded a crisp legal pad. Let's outline our three pillars: truth, training, and transparency. Truth means listening to every voice, staff and passengers. Training means immersive bias and empathy workshops. Transparency means public reporting and real-time feedback. Yvette leaned forward. I've drafted the initial employee bulletin. It goes out today. We acknowledge the failures in our premium lounges. Starting now, we launch a full audit of all guest-facing operations. We invite your honest experiences, no fear of retaliation. Chloe, the former shift lead, now quietly observing, spoke hesitantly. You want us to share why we did it? Why we let it happen? Elijah met her gaze. Yes, because we can't fix what we don't understand. Your insights are as critical as those of passengers. Silence has been our greatest barrier. By mid-morning, a makeshift listening room had been assembled in a low-traffic corridor. Chairs formed a loose circle. The only decoration was a single motivational poster. Respect belongs to everyone. Word spread quickly. Over 50 frontline employees, gate agents, lounge attendants, cabin crew, filed in, curiosity and apprehension mingling in their expressions. Elijah opened the session. Thank you for coming. This isn't a blame game. We're here to learn how SkyConnect can truly honor our promise of inclusivity. He nodded to Yvette and Alex, who took notes discreetly. The first speaker was Curtis Nguyen, a veteran gate agent with 20 years of service. He cleared his throat. We were under pressure to keep things moving. We were told to watch for suspicious behavior. If someone looked off, we stopped them. I never asked why. I just did it. A murmur of recognition spread through the room. No one disputed Curtis's words. Next, Lena Chen, a customer experience associate hired last year, rose. She spoke with careful precision. I saw it happen to a black family. The kids were fidgeting. Staff assumed they were troublemakers. I asked, is that fair? And my team leader snapped back, don't question procedures. After that, I stayed quiet. Diego Martinez, a ramp agent who had filed an internal report 6 months earlier, nodded in solidarity. I reported it, and nothing changed. I got a memo reminding me that standard protocol must be followed, so I stopped reporting. Elijah listened without interrupting, absorbing each confession. When the stories shifted from procedural explanations to subtle indifference, a shrug, an eye roll, a closed door, he realized the depth of the problem. It was cultural, not simply procedural. Near the end, Keenan Hill, the young Platinum member from yesterday, spoke up. I appreciate you listening, Mr. Mays. I almost gave up on flying SkyConnect after yesterday. I've been loyal for years. No one asked why I was delayed, just told me I didn't belong. Elijah's throat tightened. Thank you, Keenan. Your patience and perspective matter to me and to every passenger we serve. By noon, the room was heavy with unsaid acknowledgments. Elijah closed the session. This is just the beginning. We'll hold similar sessions at every hub. Your voices will shape our policies. That afternoon, Elijah convened a focused strategy meeting with senior executives in the war room overlooking Gate 24A. The polished oak table held 3 binders labeled Audit Results, Training Blueprint, and Transparency Roadmap. He turned to Marcus. What does Phase 1 look like? Marcus clicked his tablet, projecting a schematic onto the glass wall. 1. Immediate suspension. All lounges nationwide are closed for 48 hours. Staff with multiple complaints are placed on administrative leave. Second mandatory audit. Cross-reference access logs, complaint files, and covert observational reviews in every lounge and gate area, completed in 2 weeks. Third, bias-immersion workshops. Trained facilitators lead role-play scenarios using real incident videos, anonymized, to foster empathy. Completion required for all guest-facing staff within 30 days. Alex added, we build a mobile feedback app. Passengers can rate interactions anonymously. Real-time alerts go to a dedicated task force that addresses issues within 24 hours. Yvette spoke next. We'll publish a monthly dashboard on our website. Incident totals, resolution times, staff retraining progress, full transparency. Elijah met each of their eyes. And consequences? We're clear. Repeat offenders face demotion or termination. No exceptions. Senior HR Director Karen Willis bristled. Public dashboards risk lawsuits and brand damage. Elijah held up a hand. Our greatest risk is inaction. Transparency builds trust. If we hide these issues, we become complicit. Karen exhaled, lowering her gaze. Understood. Over the next week, SkyConnect's global network buzzed with activity. Lounges in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, and Chicago shuttered for audits. Local managers, bewildered by the sudden closures, scrambled to rebook premium members and apologize personally. Press releases highlighted the commitment. Social media filled with both praise and skepticism. Elijah flew discreetly to each major hub, wearing his gray hoodie, observing procedures firsthand. In Miami, he watched as a manager apologized to a visibly upset black couple, offering complimentary tickets and personal escort to a new lounge. He noted the couple's gratitude, small gestures that spoke volumes. In Chicago, he held a second listening session with cabin crew. A flight attendant described witnessing a VIP passenger of Middle Eastern descent being treated roughly by security. When I raised it, I was told to mind my own business, she said. Elijah thanked her and promised swift follow-up. Each visit reinforced the core truth. Beyond policies and dashboards, it was human connection and the simple act of acknowledging wrongdoing that rebuilt trust. Back in Atlanta, Elijah spent long hours perfecting the script for the company-wide livestream. He wanted to balance accountability with inspiration. Team SkyConnect, I've seen our failures, and I've heard your voices. Today, we reset our priorities. We will measure success not just by profits or on-time departures, but by the respect we afford every passenger. He reviewed slides with Audit, stark data visualizations, testimonials from passengers, images of new training modules in action. Alex showcased a prototype of the feedback app interface. Simple, intuitive, with Rate Your Experience buttons at every touchpoint. Marcus finalized the audit summaries, breaking down incidents by region and type, anonymized but unflinching in detail. The message was clear: we own our shortcomings. Late the night before the broadcast, Elijah sat alone in the terminal lounge, now orderly, with passengers enjoying complimentary snacks and attentive staff. He reflected on the journey from yesterday's confrontation to tomorrow's commitment. He pulled out his grandmother's photograph from his pocket, the same one from Chapter 1, and whispered, "We owe them more than empty words." He felt the hoodie's worn fabric under his hand and smiled, recalling her lesson. Respect is earned through deeds, not titles. At dawn, he stepped onto the brightly lit stage set up before Gate 24A. Cameras rolled, satellites linked, thousands of employees watching live. His leadership team flanked him, not as props, but as co-architects of a new vision. Taking a deep breath, Elijah began. Good morning, SkyConnect family. Yesterday, I walked into our premium lounge as one of you, unannounced, unadorned. I was told I didn't belong. That experience and the stories you shared revealed a truth we can no longer ignore. The crowd of employees gathered in person and virtually fell silent. He laid out the three pillars: truth, training, transparency, and announced the specific timelines, consequences, and feedback mechanisms. He spoke of the listening sessions, the honest confessions, the small moments of empathy he witnessed on the tarmac. He ended with a vow. Today we prove that respect knows no rank, no credential, no attire. We will rebuild SkyConnect so every person, no matter how they look, where they come from, or what they wear, will know they belong the moment they step through our doors. As he stepped away, applause echoed softly, tentative but genuine. The road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but for the first time, SkyConnect's leadership had spoken truth to power and laid the groundwork for a culture where dignity took flight. Elijah R. Mays stepped into the newly christened Mays Lounge at Gate 24A and felt for the first time the full weight of what had been accomplished. Gone were the cold glass doors and the stiff reception desk. In their place stood warm wooden accents, soft lighting, and a bronze plaque at the entrance that simply read, "Everyone belongs here." As he walked through the space, he saw clusters of travelers, families, solo adventurers. Business people, laughing over coffee, sharing devices for movie clips, and falling into easy conversation with the ambassadors who greeted them by name, not by status. In the center, a circular seating area had become an impromptu gathering spot. Mrs. Gloria Thompson, the retired teacher whose letter had sparked the entire transformation, sat there alongside Keenan Hill, now engaged as a customer experience advisor. When their eyes met, Gloria rose, her silver hair catching the ambient glow, and wrapped him in a hug so fierce it brought tears to onlookers' eyes. He held her at arm's length and wiped a tear himself before guiding her to an empty chair. Around them, guests paused their conversations and leaned in, sensing the gravity of the moment. A CEO who had once been just another traveler, now being embraced as a genuine champion of respect. A young mother from Haiti approached, her baby cradled in one arm, and placed a hand on Elijah's shoulder. "My son felt safe here," she said quietly. "No one hurried us. They offered toys and blankets, and when I needed space, they pointed me to a quiet alcove. I felt seen." Her gratitude rippled through the lounge, weaving into the soft background hum of espresso machines and punctuated by the occasional chime of boarding announcements. Reminders that life moved on, but had been irrevocably changed here. Elijah smiled and thanked her, then turned to listen as a veteran approached. A broad-shouldered man who had once struggled with PTSD in crowded terminals. "Your team's quiet hours policy saved me," he said. "I could drink my tea without flinching at every footstep. I could breathe." The veteran's words struck Elijah like a bell, tangible proof that policy, when rooted in empathy, could heal invisible wounds. Across the room, an LGBTQ+ couple had lingered near a side window. One of them raised a hand. "I've flown countless airlines, but no one ever asked how we wanted to be addressed," she said. "Here, they asked our names, used our pronouns. It was like being acknowledged for the first time." The second embraced her partner, and their shared smile was an image of simple, profound belonging. As stories wove themselves into the air, Elijah found himself surrounded by the faces of change. Employees who had once enforced doors closed now guiding guests with open arms. Ambassadors who had once cherished routine now delighting in connection. He caught sight of Chloe and Matt, the two former lounge leads who had refused him and a young black passenger weeks earlier. They stood at the edge of the gathering, their uniforms crisp but their smiles hesitant as they watched guests pat their backs in gratitude. When Elijah caught their eyes, he gave both a nod of encouragement. They straightened, stepped forward, and began to circulate, introducing themselves by name, listening earnestly, offering fresh pastries alongside genuine apologies for past mistakes. The transformation was no longer theoretical, it was embodied in every interaction. Later, Elijah slipped into the adjacent operation suite for the final audit review. Screens displayed side-by-side graphs, past incident rates versus now, guest satisfaction scores climbing steeply, workshop completion rates at 100%, thousands of real-time feedback submissions, averaging 4.8 out of 5. Marcus Levesque tapped the screen. "We've reduced refusal incidents by 90%. Our satisfaction rating is the highest in our history." Alex Tran added, "Every hub is meeting or exceeding these targets. We have data from New York to Los Angeles confirming that respect truly boosts loyalty." Yvette Dorson, who had drafted every message of transparency, allowed herself a rare grin. "Media outlets are highlighting our approach as a blueprint for the entire industry. They're praising our courage to publish the numbers, rather than hide them." Elijah nodded, but his eyes softened. "This isn't about headlines," he said. "It's about every person whose dignity we restored." As dust settled over the runway lights, a small celebration gathered back in the lounge. Lanterns glowed warmly overhead, soft jazz floated through discreet speakers. Lounge ambassadors had prepared trays of sweet pastries and glasses of sparkling juice. Elijah circled the room, raising a glass in toast to guests and staff, to storytellers and listeners. When Chloe approached him, she placed her hand on his arm and whispered, "Thank you for giving us a chance to do better." Matt joined her, eyes bright with emotion. "I see now that service means more than efficiency, it means humanity." Their words carried through the lounge like a benediction. Gloria rose once more. The room hushed as she placed a hand on the bronze plaque by the hearth. When I asked for respect, she said, voice steady, I wanted my dignity back. Today I witnessed respect multiplied. This lounge is not just a physical space, it's proof that when we choose empathy over assumption, we rewrite our story. Her declaration lingered, and then applause washed over every face, staff and passengers, the gifted and the unseen, all united in the certainty that something profound had shifted. Elijah moved to the center of the hearth area, his heart full. SkyConnect was built to move people through space, he said, voice caring. But now we move hearts too. Respect isn't a product we sell, it's the promise we keep. From this day forward, our success will be measured not only by profits or on-time departures, but by how fully we see and honor every single human we encounter. The words landed like a benediction, and a collective cheer rose, joyous, cathartic, unmistakably real. As the celebration mellowed into conversation, Elijah slipped away to the sapling planted earlier that day. He knelt and gently watered its roots. The young tree would grow strong here, a living symbol of renewal. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his grandmother's worn photograph, and whispered, "We did it." Then he stood, buttoned his jacket over the gray hoodie, and stepped back into the lounge one last time. Guests lingered over parting hugs and last-minute coffees. Ambassadors waved goodbyes, not as scripted gestures, but as heartfelt farewells. Outside, the terminal buzzed with departures and arrivals, but Gate 24A, once the site of dismissal and disdain, now pulsed with belonging. Elijah paused beneath the new plaque. Everyone belongs here. No exceptions. He placed a hand over his heart and smiled, ready to carry this truth wherever SkyConnect's wings would fly next. In that moment, he knew the ending wasn't an end. It was the beginning of a new era, one defined by courage, compassion, and the unwavering conviction that respect must always take flight,